Welcome back, all you beautiful souls, to another episode of Aligned and Alive. I'm your host, Christy May, and today we are diving deeper with last week's incredible guest, the lovely Hannah Hammond. If you didn't catch that episode, stop right now, go all the way back. It's episode 105, and take the entire episode in because it's a wealth of information. Hannah's story is one of overcoming many challenges in childhood to becoming a self-made millionaire by the young age of 25. In today's episode, Hannah is going to provide guidance on how to maximize your productivity, offering key strategies for success. And I would grab a pen and notebook to take notes because this powerhouse knows what she's talking about. She is the founder of multiple companies in commercial and residential real estate, business and wealth coaching, construction companies, and a national real estate brokerage, to name a few. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot, and a private lending company now. And a private lending company. Thanks for being here again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Always a pleasure. So we're going to start with some strategies you can give people right now. And for those who are committed and ready to shift their life in a positive and prosperous direction, what would be 3 traits you believe are required in order to fully succeed?
Resiliency, mental toughness, and self-drive and determination.
All good. And so to paint that picture perfectly, like super clear for people, what would it look like to make it as simple as possible for people to make a quantum leap in their business right now and steps they should be taking in order to maximize their productivity?
I would say first is getting really clear with their intentions and knowing where you're going. Because if you don't know where you're going, then any road will get you nowhere, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing, I always set a 1, 3, 5, 10-year plan and then put those KPIs, the SMART goals with KPIs in place on exactly what you need to do to accomplish those on those timelines, the 1, 3, 5, 7, 10-year timelines. And then also take it back to, okay, if I'm going to be here in 12 months, where do I need to be each quarter? And then where do I need to be each month? And then what do I need to do each day? So really breaking it down, and then you just follow the process and create the habits to make those outcomes happen.
Very easy, right? I mean, just very simplify it.
Mm-hmm.
So then what does your day-to-day structure typically look like for you? Like right now, just to give an example.
Of like a day in the life, or
just more of like examples of like what your niche goals are right now, the ones that your like granular goals that you have right now in order to hit that, say, 3-month goal or 6-month goal.
Yeah. So I set a 3-month goal for personal, professional, and relational. And then every single day I set my intentions on what I need to do to accomplish those goals. So right now, on a personal level, one of my goals is to not jump into another relationship and take some time to just be myself and just be able to build and grow and really focus on me and serving other people and not just diving into the next thing. On a professional level, my next goal is to have a $10 million company, and then I want to get to 100 million. But I think it's good to break it up into where you're at in your business currently. And so it's I want to have a $10 million lending company in 5 years, actually. And that's one of my businesses. The other businesses I have separate goals for. So breaking that down as well, and then saying, okay, how much money do I need to have lent to accomplish that amount of revenue coming in? And then what do I need to do on a daily basis to either A, raise my own fund, use my own funds, or B, raise funds from other investors. And that's strategic relationships, networking, having coffees, lunches, happy hours with strategic partners who are interested in lending on the Hannah Hammond lending company. So just knowing those and then setting the intentions every day is, okay, how many appointments do I need if the average person's going to lend $1 million and my closing rate is 3% or 50% or whatever that looks like for you and your business? How many appointments do I need to be having on a quarterly basis, a monthly basis, and a daily basis to be able to hit those outcomes?
Very good. That's so crystal clear said. So basically it's reverse engineering is what you're doing.
Exactly.
And it works in any industry, in any business. I mean, I know when I was heavily involved in residential real estate, part of our processes were how many, at the time, it's different now, but how many open houses did you need to hold in order to hit a closed transaction. And so like you do understand like your numbers almost instantly. Like you can kind of get an idea, okay, I need to meet 15 people and I will have one closed transaction. I mean, that's kind of how we did it back then, but that's a very crystal clear process in order to maximize your productivity to get there to the end result.
Yeah. Start with the end in mind.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. I love that. No, it's good. So yeah, results of commitment to excellence, I think is really important. Intelligent planning and focused effort. I mean, I think most people overcomplicate the process. Would you agree?
Yeah. Speaking for myself, I get overwhelmed or scared of the end goal, right? Like me saying, oh, I'm going to have $100 million company. Like that's terrifying to me. And then especially to say that out loud too to other people. But how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. And so just taking it back, dumbing it down. And then once you have very clear intentions about where you want to go, then I think something I struggled with a lot was I put the burden on myself to get there. I'm like, do I have the capability of doing this? Do I have the skill set of doing this? How am I going to learn how to do this? Well, everything that you're probably thinking of, there's someone who's really good at doing it out there, and you just need to find the right who's to be able to accomplish the hows. And that's back to the book, Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. When I read that, I was like, yeah, let me stop being the person that's trying to do everything,
Right.
Get these things off my plate and find the experts in that and, find the right attorney to make me feel confident in raising $100 million fund and doing that. Cause that sounds scary and I've never done it before. So I'm like, how would I do that? Well, you hire the right people in place to help you accomplish that. You don't have to do it all yourself. You can just be the visionary and the leader to put everybody in place to help you get there.
I love that because then it makes it possible for everybody to really accomplish whatever they want to accomplish rather than trying to sit there day by day, figuring out how to do it and thinking, oh my gosh, this is too big for me. I could never put this together. Because that was my question to you when we were prior to meeting was how in the world did you put together a private lending company and how did that thought process unfold?
So I had a bunch of money that I had been saving to take down a big multifamily project and interest rates spiked. Couldn't find any good projects. Even to this day, I'm still kind of waiting on the sidelines. But I was like, I need to pivot. I need to put this money to work. I'm not going to have 7 figures sitting in a bank account making no money. Fortunately, checking accounts now are paying 5% interest, but I'm in heavy growth mode. I don't have billions of dollars or hundreds of millions or whatever to just make 5% interest and be like, okay, cool. I'm chilling. So I wanted to put that money to work and I wanted to grow it as rapidly as possible. At least as much as I would have on a multifamily project, or ideally my goal was to make even more. And so that's where the idea was born essentially. And I'm already in the real estate space. I had worked with a private lender in the past who he just lended his own money. He's just a retired gentleman. He's like, oh, I absolutely love it. It's so easy. It's very low risk because it's backed by real estate. And I'm like, well, I have the money. I have the knowledge of the real estate. I'm confident knowing how to underwrite real estate. But I was scared. I'm like, I don't want to do $1 million loan because I've never done this before. And that's a lot of money and I don't want to lose it or have it tied up. So I'm like, let me just do really small loans. Let me just start with $50,000. Let me just do $100,000. Okay, now I'll do $150,000. As I went through that process, my confidence started going up. And I also learned a niche that on the smaller loans, I could charge a lot more money. So it worked out. And now I have a very niche product that I'm ready to scale. And once all of the network that I'm around was like, oh my gosh, how are you making these kind of returns? Can I invest with you? And one of my fears that I've overcome is using other people's money. I'm like, well, if I lose my money, I can sleep at night. It's my own fault. It's my money. I can make it back. Nobody's going to sue me. Nobody's going to hate me and all those things. I was so afraid of letting people down. I'm a people pleaser. And even now I'm very afraid of letting people down, but you have to overcome those fears in order to get to where you want to go. And then you get to serve other people in the meantime. So now if I bring other people's money in, I'm making them massive returns that they're not going to make anywhere else completely passively. So that's providing value to them. And now that I've proven it to myself that I know what I'm doing and I lean on the experts, attorney wise, hire the best counsel and everything and employees to manage the process, then it's a win-win all around. And that's how you can really scale.
Absolutely. And you're leading with a servant leader mindset. I mean, that's a true win.
Yeah.
That's like the highest level of leadership, in my opinion, when you're leading like that. Yeah, you definitely are someone who has created your own market of opportunities. I mean, it's trailblazing constantly.
Yeah.
There's nothing Hannah can't do.
Thank you.
I love it. We spoke candidly about residential real estate and commercial when we were at lunch last week, and how the commercial side has a lot of upside and oftentimes greater than residential real estate. So for investors specifically, because it's an area that I'm fascinated with, how would you guide someone to get started in commercial real estate, and what skill sets are necessary to learn in order to thrive in that niche right now?
Yeah. So commercial real estate is scary because it's bigger dollars and bigger buildings and, maybe higher vacancies or higher risk on that in the way, if you think about it that way. So I would say the easiest way to get started in commercial real estate would be to get started in multifamily, because that's kind of the bridge from residential single family homes to commercial buildings and assets, right? So a multifamily that's 4 units or less is considered a residential home, same lending as you would be buying your own home. And 5 units and more is considered a commercial property. And so and then it's now financed through commercial financing, which would be similar financing to buying an office building or a retail building or something like that. It's lower risk in my opinion, because, let's say you have a 15-unit apartment complex and a couple people don't pay rent. Well, you still have all those other streams of income. Whereas if you have a restaurant, a single freestanding retail building, and the restaurant owner doesn't pay rent, well, now you have an asset that has zero income coming in. So if you're getting started, I think that's a really great way to segue. And I love multifamily and the ability to add value. And the principles are the same. Like if you're buying a residential home, you want to, you make your money on the buy. You want to buy low, sell high, and force appreciation into it by adding value, renovating it, making it a more appealing and nicer property where you could get a higher rent for it. The same exact thing goes for commercial real estate. And you find something that is mismanaged. Maybe it's a vacant building that is no longer providing cash flow to a REIT or an investor. And, it can take some time to find a new tenant, or they have to, maybe some money needs to be invested in tenant improvements and the owner doesn't have it, or they're retiring. And there's a big opportunity because so many commercial building owners are retiring or out of state landlords. And there's opportunity there to take that down. And you can start small and do it with your own funds. Yes, it's a higher barrier to entry, but you can get a 5-unit apartment complex for, depends on where you are. If you're here in Arizona, you're going to be in the 200,000 plus per door, most likely. But there's states where you could get it for much cheaper per door. So it's not a massive gap from residential to commercial if you're going that route.
Is it pretty easy also to get seller financing for a lot of these properties too?
Yeah, it depends on the market environment. And I know we have a common friend that does lots of seller financing, and I love seller financing in both residential and commercial spaces. But yes, because commercial financing can be tougher to get if it's especially if it's a non-income producing asset. Like if it's a vacant building with no tenant, then they're like, okay, your own income needs to qualify. But the nice thing is commercial financing can be very simple to get because it's asset based. So if you're going to go buy a property that's generating income, the bank is going to underwrite the asset based off of the income it generates, not based off your income. So you could buy a very, very large building. Let's say you get really deep into this and you start a syndication, you're syndicating funds for a deal, and it's a $150 million apartment complex. They're not looking at your income to qualify on that. Versus buying a house, they're gonna be like, hey, what's your income? You can't buy this $50 million house because your income doesn't justify it, right?
Right.
So the banks see it as a lower risk as well.
No, it makes it just that whole process right now, the way you explained it, it makes it seem easier, in my opinion, to get into commercial in many ways. And this goes back to even like your network, right? I mean, pulling everybody together, maybe to take down something as well.
And I realized I skipped on the seller financing. So for those who don't know, seller financing is where the owner of the property becomes the bank, essentially. So this works out really well if the owner owns the building free and clear, or if they owe a little bit on the building, then you can do what's called a wraparound mortgage, where they continue to make the mortgage payments and then they collect the difference from you because they're selling it at a much higher price normally. And you just put down your normal down payment. You work with a title company to draft the promissory note and the deed of trust. And then the seller is the bank. And so you make payments directly to the seller, and it can go through a servicing account just like a mortgage would. So it'll keep track of your payments. And then normally it's whatever you negotiate, but you negotiate an interest rate that you're paying with the seller, and then you negotiate a term. So normally they're like, 3 to 5 year balloon payments, in which case you can refinance the property. And a lot of times this works out really well because if it's a distressed asset that you're going to go in and add value, there's no tenant in there and a bank won't even finance it anyway. You can go in, add the value, and then now you can use the asset income to refinance with a conventional bank and a conventional loan.
A win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
It really is. How do you acquire most of your deals right now in commercial?
Like, how do I source them and find them? Or how do I finance?
Yes. How do you source and find them right now?
Source and find them. So I use CoStar because I'm a broker. That's like a brokerage software, but anybody can pay for CoStar. Like, you can go sign up for CoStar. It's just, $500 or $600 a month or whatever. But that enables you to literally pull data. Like, I can go in there and say, show me properties that have been bought between the periods of 2011 and 2014 and are owned free and clear and are multifamily assets between 5 and 30 units. And it'll export that data, and it'll export all the phone numbers, skip traced from the owners. And then you can do mailers, and you can do pop-bys, you could call them and all that stuff. So that's a really great way that deals are found because those are likely sellers, right? Just like you would in residential real estate, get a list of probate or recent divorces or anything like that. So data can really help. And then just there's a lot of gems. People in the commercial real estate space will say LoopNet is where deals go to die because it's already been shopped everywhere. But you find stuff on there. I find a lot of deals on LoopNet and CoStar that I target deals that have been sitting for a really long time, and I just call and get the story on them. I'll look at deals that don't have a disclosed sales price because a lot of people write those off because they're like, well, we don't know the price, whatever. But a lot of those can be distressed opportunities. I look for properties that have room to add value, either are poorly managed, have vacancies, need renovation, things like that. And then I'd like to get more into the wholesale real estate space. There's not a lot of wholesalers in commercial. And so that is a deal funnel that I would like to find some strategic wholesale partners who can bring those deals over as well, which I'm in the works on right now.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like it's a very competitive space, is it?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, not like residential.
Right.
Because everybody wants to flip houses, right? And everybody's wholesaling residential real estate. But in commercial, it's such a high barrier to entry. You just naturally have a lot less competition. Like, there's a deal that I am working on with my clients where the building cost $77 million to build. And we just got it under contract for $10 million. So there's a big opportunity for profit in that deal.
Absolutely.
And that was a deal that was on the market. It was an undisclosed price on the market, and I found it, and I called the broker, and I'm like, what's the story on this? And he's like, they'll pretty much entertain any offer over $1 million. They already wrote it off their books. A REIT owns it. They have billions of dollars in their fund. This is just a leech for them, and they want to get the street off their backs and get it off their books. I'm like, okay, well, there's big opportunity there, right? And there's lots of different ways to source deals, but it's definitely a lower barrier to entry because not everyone has $10 million to just buy this distressed asset, and not everyone has the creativity and cojones to try to figure out, how do we place a tenant in this massive asset? How do we, find an end user for it? Because if you get stuck with it, just your electricity is $200,000 a year, to run it, let alone your taxes and the maintenance staff to keep it in place and things like that.
It's amazing what you've been able to do in this short period of time, especially in a male-dominated industry. Do you ever feel like what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced going into commercial? Because I remember you said something in the last episode how, for instance, like, people will see your picture and not take you seriously, right? Because like, you're this beautiful blonde. And was there times where you maybe wanted to exit, or did that just give you more, fire to sharpen your skill set and become better and better?
Oh yeah, I love when people tell me I can't do something. It just makes me want to do better. I have a very abundant mindset, and I think that yes, there's a good amount of business I probably lose from first impressions because I don't have a relationship with those people. Maybe they're calling me off of a listing I have, and it's a potential lead I could convert to a client, but they're gonna not take me seriously or whatever. Usually once I talk to somebody and they hear me speak and the value that I provide, I'm always just a value-based seller. I'm just worried about that person and how to make them more money and solve their problems. Usually they overcome that pretty quickly if I can get in front of them or even on the phone with them. But I understand that I'm not going to get every client, nor do I want every client. I want clients who are wanting to work with me, who feel the value that I can provide and who feel the energy like we talked about in the last episode and vice versa. So I'm okay that some clients I'm going to lose. And then some people will say that that's my biggest disadvantage in commercial real estate, but I would also say that's my biggest advantage. Every disadvantage is your biggest advantage in my personal experience. And I'm like, well, maybe these gentlemen would rather work with a smart, successful, very hardworking, on top of it, female that's attractive than this old 80-year-old, Bob who can barely remember a phone call that you had 2 minutes ago. So I just kind of flip it. And some people want to work with Bob and some people want to work with me. Yeah. So it just goes, I don't think there's any, whether you're young, whether you're old, whether you're female, male, good looking, not good looking, you can make that your advantage instead of your disadvantage.
So good. Sorry, Bob. Oh my gosh. What are your non-negotiables in business? For instance, and I'll kind of just give an example. So, we all know working with certain clients can be exhausting. It can be trying. I'll give an example quickly on a transaction I did several years ago with an investor who was highly, highly narcissistic. It was very, very difficult to work with him. And now my non-negotiable in anything in business is if you don't come right, if you don't have integrity, I don't want to work with you. And I'll refer it out to somebody who probably be a better fit. So do you have non-negotiables in that aspect?
100%. And that comes, to me, it came more with experience, and you can start to cherry pick as you become more successful and more desired and more busy and things like that. But it's hard for me to let go of opportunity to make money. I think it is for a lot of people out there and a lot of entrepreneurs in particular. So I've been mistreated and taken advantage of by a lot of clients. And once that happens one too many times, and once you're too busy, in the beginning, you're like, I'll deal with this asshole because it's my only client, But then, yeah, I have some clients for sure. But now I'm just like, you know what? It's okay to say no. Some of the best deals in life are the ones you don't do. And it's okay to refer that client out to a better fit. It's okay to just say no altogether. And the way this worked for me, because if they don't have integrity, if they're asking me for all my commission, I'm like, yeah, I'll give you my commission. How about you give me the profits of the company? Like, this is my livelihood, right? And so they're asking me for my commission. They're not respecting the work I do. They're not respecting my time and my schedule. They want you to drop a hat and see a property last minute every time, or they cancel all the time. Or if they just treat you with disrespect, like, yell at you or look down on you or all the things that some of these clients, will do. The energy that they suck and zap from you and the time wasted and the mental troubles that they bring to you will end up costing you a lot more money than that deal. And that's how I've been able to look at it and just be like, gosh, I know it's hard when you see the dollar amount and to be like, oh, I just want this to myself, but it's just not worth it. And you have to be treated right, and you have to protect your energy. And that's the biggest thing. I can deal with difficult clients, but if they're impacting my energy to where that comes across in my other clients and my other businesses and my relationships and all of those things, then you just got to be aware of that and be able to walk away.
So good. And it's you setting a standard. And I think that goes back to what we talked about in the previous episode with self-love even, right? Like being able to know your worth and how you want to be treated. And I believe we teach people how we want to be treated, right? And the more we can stand in our power and lead with compassion and kindness, because you can still have those traits in a deal. And I've learned this along the way, but still have a hard standard that it's not to be crossed, right? That a level of expectation that you require to work with you. But then I think that just makes you more valuable as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. I mean, as a founder, as a CEO, when you can start leveling up your own personal worth, then I just believe you start getting more in return. Have you felt that? Have you started seeing that? Like, I know I have. I've started seeing more opportunities now that I've learned to set a standard and respect myself with such care and compassion like I'd never had before. Now all of a sudden it's like the floodgates are opening.
Yeah, I felt that as well. And I think, speaking for myself, and I think you've mentioned the same thing, is we're people pleasers.
Yeah.
And we want to make everyone happy and serve everyone and please everyone. And sometimes we have to check ourselves. We're like, why am I not practicing what I'm preaching? And because we're trying to not just be a people pleaser, we want to be a server of people, but we have to have a standard for ourselves and maintain the integrity of who we are and what we need out of that relationship, whether it's professional or personal. And I've noticed that when these very, alpha or controlling or demanding or look down on type people come into your life, they're testing you to see what you'll expect, what you'll accept and what treatment you'll take. And when you just cave in and be like, oh yeah, sure, this, that just gives them the whole rope to be like, okay, now I know this girl has no self-respect. This, I could take advantage of the situation. I can ask for their money. I can push and prod this person around, and they'll just do more of that. But when you stand your ground and be like, no, that's not how I do business. That's not how I will be treated. I've noticed that I get more respect out of that. And if it doesn't, and then if they're like, oh, then I won't work with you, then I'm like, great. Go work with somebody else. That's perfectly fine. And I've said that, like I've told a client, hey, I don't think I'm the best fit for you to represent you on this transaction. I'm happy to help you find another agent that might be a better fit. And then, yesterday someone called me for a hard money loan and was, well, why aren't you this right? And why can't you do this much? And I'm like, whoa,
called me.
Listen, Linda. Yeah. Listen, Linda. I'm not going to be the best fit for you. So thank you for your inquiry, but I'm going to let you go and good luck. And, oh, did I say something wrong? Well, why wouldn't you lend to me? All those things. So stand your ground, smile, and move on.
And be willing to always walk away. But that goes with personal and business, right? Like we talked about earlier. Yeah. Relationships.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Yeah. Bye, Felicia.
It's true though. I think but that you can only really get there, at least, and I've learned through 20 years plus of experience being an entrepreneur, that it really starts with you. Because as you've already learned through your journey, your young journey of personal development and growth, that the more you feed you, the better you can show up in your business. And of course, guide that process for others as well. I mean, it just becomes almost this flow state that you're in, because it's now you're embodying everything that you've all your tools that you've learned along the way. It's like who you are now. You're just a whole different level of being. And it's really where it's at. I feel like most people, when they get into, whether it's commercial real estate, residential real estate, or, a small business owner, I would, at least in my opinion, work on you as a person more than anything, because you can always learn that new skill set. You can have somebody teach you. Like I could go to you next week and be like, okay, Hannah, guide me through the process. And I'm super confident that I would be extremely successful in the process because I've worked on myself for so long. However, with that being said, if I was newly coming into it, in my early 20s, it probably would have been a different story because I was a totally different person. But so how much of that do you intertwine in your brokerage and in your businesses with, whether it's your, agents or it's your team of people, your assistants and stuff? Do you require anything from them, like a level of excellence that you require for yourself?
For sure. Yeah. And I actually, you asked me in the last episode if I ever went through counseling or therapy, and no, I haven't, but I just recently hired my first relationship coach and things like that. And she said the same thing. It's like, you just demand the same level of excellence you demand of yourself in everybody else. That's what you expect. And I'm like, yeah, am I not supposed to? Am I going to hold myself to this standard and then have everyone else around me be at this standard? Like, I'm not going to do that. And so we kind of went at it back and forth on that one, but absolutely, and they don't have to be the same person or have the same beliefs or have the same drive or be an entrepreneur or be this or that. But if I'm hiring somebody or working with somebody, integrity is at the forefront of everything. Having a go-giver, a service mentality and mindset, being a self-starter, having the inner drive and the ambition to get things done and to be goal-oriented and to think bigger, do bigger, dream bigger. Like those are the key things. And I mentioned this in another episode, but a lot of people hire for hard skills and fire for soft skills. and don't put time on the front end to figure out who is this as a person, right? Because hard skills can be trained. Soft skills are very difficult to train. It's difficult to train character, grit, integrity, ambition, drive, resiliency. All of those things are very, very difficult to change in a person because only the person can change that in themselves. You can't train that necessarily and make someone. So that's what I look for on a team, professionally and personally, is those character and innate or learned qualities that are beyond just a technical skill.
Necessary. It's like barrier to entry.
Yep.
If you don't have these, then don't bother.
Yeah.
Go learn them and then come back and we'll have a conversation.
Exactly.
I mean, it becomes that, but it just goes with your mission and your purpose that you're here to, you have big goals. And if you're going to achieve those goals, you have to have that right circle around you constantly. How much of networking does it play in your lifestyle now? Like, are you constantly out there just meeting new people? Because you mentioned, what was the book? Who can get you there? Or
Who, not how.
Who, not how. Is that becoming a real life example of just how you live day to day now?
Yeah, actually at the gym this morning, my best friend Naidu, she's like, "You're just a social butterfly," and you're like, we go in the gym and it's like, "Oh hi, oh hi, oh hi." She just started going there, so I'm introducing everyone I know, and I know everybody there. But it didn't used to be like that. So networking is key. Your network is your net worth, and I've always heard that. We've all heard that in the past, but I never listened to it. And I was so riddled with anxiety and depression and self-doubt and insecurity. Like, this sounds terrible, but I literally could not even pretty much leave my house for years. And it was a self-worth, self-love issue. I was battling with so many things. And I couldn't, because I was so unhealthy with, mentally and physically and all the things, I couldn't go out there and network and meet people and put myself, like, I would have an anxiety attack to just think about going to my graduation or to prom or to a party or even to class in college. I didn't go to class. I only showed up for exams. I literally was just in a cave in my house for like 3.5 years.
Wow.
Through college. And that's why I didn't meet anybody. But yeah, and I was still able to grow. I was still able to excel and exceed at a rapid pace, but you're going to cap out because at the end of the day, serving, like, millionaires are very good at making themselves money. And that's exactly what I was. I was very good at making myself money. I do me. I control everything. I do everything. I rely on myself only. And I had a very much screw everyone else mentality. And then I got to, I became a millionaire, but I'm like, okay, well, how do I become a billionaire? It's not going to be by doing everything myself and not serving other people and only thinking about myself. And that was just a miserable and lonely place to be in general, regardless of the money. There's no way I could have kept up life going down that road, no matter how much money or lack thereof was involved. And so being able to, that's where the self-help, the self-love and health really came into play. And once I prioritized that and I got myself right to where I knew who I was super happy in my own skin, in my environment. Then I was able to get out there and start feeling confident, putting myself in the types of networks that just brought me energy, brought me joy, and that I was able to serve and grow further from that point. So I have a breakfast every day, a lunch every day, a happy hour every day of the week almost, except I do 2 focus days where I do no meetings, which I've recently learned that because it's nice to just have a straight focus day because it's hard. You go to breakfast and you come back and you have 30 minutes to respond to emails and stuff, and then you don't really get any creativity or real focused work.
So you're meeting 15 new people every week, essentially, or they repeat?
Essentially both.
Okay.
Repeat. So I prioritize, a combination of meeting new people, growing new relationships, and then seasoning existing relationships that have done business with me or just relationships from my network, seeing how I can help them grow their business. That's how all my meetings are, is how can I help you grow your business or your life? And just having conversations like this, and then things just fall into place. And when you serve without expecting anything in return, everything just feels so good. And like life feels so aligned and fulfilling. And then the business side just comes naturally.
Mhm.
Like it just grows, and it's just so much more fun doing it.
It really is. And people, I feel like, just want to help you because you are leading with such a pure heart, right? Like, I mean, the business, I think, just follows because people want to do business with good people. At the end of the day, if you're a good person and goes back to how you feel on that scale. And I think my timer went off. I got to see how I'm feeling. But,
Yeah.
like, how are you feeling around people that you want to do business with? I know that's how I've in the past done that. Like, I've entered in collaborations I never even thought I would even enter into, but I liked the person and we just wanted to work together, right? I think that happens a lot. So leading with that, networking is definitely a huge thing, but I bring it up because I hear a lot of people, and entrepreneurs specifically, they're just not extroverts, right? But so many people I'm connecting with on the podcast are natural introverts.
Me too.
And that's what's so crazy about it. So if you're listening to this right now or watching this, it's something that can be learned. And then, so how did you move through that process? Was it a matter of just focusing on your personal development more than anything and feeding your soul and feeding your body that really helped you kind of pull yourself out of that maybe block that you were feeling of connecting with people one-on-one?
Yeah. I think when you're aligned internally, then the external will start to align with you, and you'll start to attract into your life people who fill your cup. And a big reason I was such an introvert is because I would feel alone in every room. I'd be in a room with people and I'd just feel like I didn't fit in. I had nothing in common with these people. I was an outsider, an outcast. Like even in my own family, I didn't fit in a room with them at all. And, not understood and all these things. But I was all of those things. I didn't understand myself. I didn't fit in with myself. I didn't love myself. I didn't know who I was. And so once all of that came into alignment and was prioritized and started to take place and grow, and I started to grow and develop and really be able to identify who I was and what filled my cup, then all the people came into my life that all of a sudden I love to be around them. Then I'm in rooms with people like you who fill me up, and go put me in a room with some people and I'll be like, oh, I just want to be alone. I don't want to be here. You have anxiety and all that stuff. But when you're around the people that are like you, then all of a sudden you feel extroverted and you feel excited and you feel creative and enjoy and in love with everything that's going on. So that was a big piece of it, I think, is knowing who you are and attracting the right people that make you excited to be there. Because don't get me wrong, I love to be alone, but now I consider myself more of an extrovert just because of the circles that I'm in now. I love so many people, but at my birthday party, there's going to be 30 people. Like I still have a small knit group of people, but I just love being around those people.
Yeah. People that feed your soul. I'm all about that. Like if you're not in alignment or if you're not bringing, like you just said, then just stage left,
Yeah, exactly.
But it goes back to intentionality. And that's what we talk so much on this podcast, about creating the life of your dreams, creating your reality, and I think it's thrown around a lot, phrase is so common now, but it's true. I mean, every single day you are choosing something. You are either choosing suffering, you're choosing lack, you're choosing abundance, you're choosing joy, you're choosing happiness. Like everything is a constant choice. And it's something that I believe in, just spending the short time we've had together last week and this week. The power of choice with you has created this unbelievable life for yourself. Like you are so intentional with everything. And it's just, you give others permission really to do the same. And at such a young age, that's another thing. Oh, I'm too young, or I don't have enough experience. You created your experience. You created everything. And I'm so inspired by you. Everything you've done and created, it really does. It blows my mind.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. We're going to hear more of Hannah. And I'll be at your birthday party too. So.
I'm so excited.
Well, we're going to finish it off with a fire round of Hannah in the hot seat. Are you ready for this, Hannah?
Let's do it.
All right. It's a fire round of questions. Hannah has no idea what they are. All right. First one. What was your first job?
Yogurtland, Scottsdale Road in Camelback.
What was it?
Yogurtland.
Yogurtland.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You serve yogurt.
Yeah.
What's your favorite flavor?
Well, my first job was training horses, but my first job working for like W-2 was Yogurtland.
Okay. Remind me on that. I totally forgot you're a horse girl.
Yeah.
A horse girl too. That's great. What books have shaped your career the most?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, who, not how, and 10x versus 2x on the professional level.
That's great. Who has made the most influence in your life?
Books. Yeah, no, I would say my family, because that, as a child shapes who you become. But as far as like a mentor or coach, it would be probably books. And then William Poet, he's my energetic intelligence coach. He made a big impact.
What is the hardest challenge you've had to overcome?
Self-love.
That's mine. What is the most embarrassing moment of your life so far?
I can't say that one.
Say the one you weren't going to say.
No, no, I can't. That was in high school. Well, I guess I could say it. So I did something really bad in high school during school hours at school that I would have probably been expelled for and banned by my family. Like it was, at the time, now looking back, it's not that bad, but at the time it was something that I would have ended my life. And then I got called to the principal's office the next day out of calculus class. I was like a senior, I think, or junior. And I was terrified. I was contemplating running away. I'm like, I got to get out of here. I don't know what I'm going to do. My parents are going to kill me. I thought I was on camera because the school cameras or whatever. And I'm like, I'm done. And that was the scariest moment of my life. And then I got to the principal's office and he said that I had been nominated as Student of the Year award from all my teachers. And I was crying. He's like, oh, you're really excited about this. I'm like, yeah, I'm so excited. That was probably it.
That's a good one. What is your proudest accomplishment?
Overcoming wanting to give up for multiple year periods and just the resiliency that I've had and ability to stay soft through it all and not just be a mean, hateful person. Just continuing to spread love and joy.
I love that. What's one idea that you think the majority of people get wrong?
About me?
Just in general.
Or just in general?
Or it could be about you.
That they can't do anything. That they can't have it all. I think that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. And I think you can have it all and you can do whatever you want to do. Nothing's different about anybody else. You and me are the same. We're two people, and anybody that accomplishes anything, they're just another human being, and you can accomplish the same thing.
I love that. What is one of the best or most worthwhile investments you've ever made? It could be an investment of time, money, or energy.
Real estate.
Yeah.
Every real estate asset I've purchased has made money, provided cash flow, provided freedom, appreciated in value, and has ultimately led to me being able to say that I'm a self-made millionaire. And I was terrified buying those assets, every single one. I'm like, oh, is the market going to crash tomorrow? And am I overpaying? And the cash flow is not going to be that much in the beginning. And that's a lot of money and all the fear factors that your brain tells you, right? But I will be a real estate investor for the rest of my life. I've lost a lot of money in the stock market. I've made a little bit of money, but probably overall maybe even or a little bit up. But real estate has made a lot of money, definitely seven figures.
It's the way to go. Where is your favorite place to vacation?
Maui's my second home because I lived there. But weather-wise, I am a California girl. I love the cool, crisp California air and the ocean breeze.
Just too bad their state's all
I know.
Messed up.
Wouldn't live there, but I loved a vacation.
California's great. Where's the best place you love to dine in Arizona?
Mabel and Ash. I named my dog after it. Oh my God. The seafood tower, the butter cake, the pillow pasta.
Say no more.
Yeah.
We'll have to go grab dinner there.
Yeah.
Favorite way to unwind?
To unwind is meditation, reading, and breath work, and just laying in bed and playing with my puppies. But riding horses I do that in the mornings though. So to start my day, but that's my favorite thing to do.
I was going to ask you about that. So do you ride weekly?
I do. Yeah. Unfortunately, I only prioritize riding, 2 to 3 days a week, but it's awesome. And I have my dream horse and he's the best thing ever. And the love of my life.
What's his name?
Bo. I call him Bo. His actual name is Curacao.
Okay. I rode a horse named Bo.
Really?
Yeah. Up at, I think it's called, Bain Peak Performance off of Scottsdale Road. We'll talk more about that.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard of it.
Horse riding is so therapeutic.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
they're
the
just
best.
amazing.
What can people expect from you next?
More service to people. I want to just continue to serve, share my experience, and encourage people to grow and help them where I can. So more content, more service, and of course, bigger businesses and more of that. So I'm scaling my lending company, continuing to grow the real estate brokerage and commercial and residential sales with my team. And eventually I want to write a book and have an online platform to teach everything that I've learned to date on a full circle level, not just professionally, but spiritually and personally and relationally as well, on a platform that can be spread nationally or globally.
Love it. I'll definitely read your book. It's going to be great.
Thank you.
And then finally, what is one final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
To love yourself, believe in yourself, and truly know, as cliche as all of it sounds, but truly know that anything is possible and that you are the only one holding you back. And it's very true. So,
woof, I got chills. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I adore you. And how can everyone get in touch with you?
So my Instagram is the easiest way. I'm most active on there. It's at Hannah B. Hammond. And you can message me. I'll respond. And my company accounts are tagged to that as well.
There you go. Hannah Hammond, everybody. Opportunity time for the ladies. We are only 4 weeks away to our women's 2-day immersion in Sedona, Arizona, May 6th through the 8th with the lovely Maria Teresa Chavez. She's flying in all the way from Peru. If you have yet to experience a retreat with Maria, then you need to be at this one. I worked with Maria several years ago, and she is life-changing. We have 2 spaces left for now.
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity to experience a powerful reconnection back to your most essential self. So for anyone who wants to get over any limiting beliefs that are holding you back, if you want to deepen self-love, if you want to get connected with a community of like-hearted and like-minded women, this is the place to be. So there's 2 spaces left, May 6th, 7th, and 8th in Sedona. You can head over to christymay.com for more information, or just send me a message on Instagram at the Christy May. Make it a beautiful and prosperous day, friends. Much love.